Look at your hand. Imagine holding a piece of paper, or a sliver of metal, or seeing a number glowing on a screen. Now imagine believing, truly, fundamentally believing, that this token can be exchanged for food, for shelter, for dignity, for power. That belief is the foundation of our world. It is older than pyramids, more influential than empires, more binding than laws. It is a collective hallucination so powerful, so pervasive, that we mistake it for a law of nature. But it is not nature. It is a story, a fragile, evolving story of trust. And its history is the history of humanity learning how to hijack reality itself. Welcome to the Heist. We often imagine our ancestors simply bartering goods, a goat for a pot, a sack of grain for a tool, but anthropology and economics tell us something surprising. Large-scale barter is mostly a myth. It is chaotic, slow, and it fails at the first hurdle. What if the potter doesn't want your goat? Long before official money, societies solved this problem with credit. In ancient Mesopotamia, economies ran on ledgers. Temples and palaces acted as central clearinghouses. Clay tablets recorded promises, so much grain, so many sheep to be delivered at harvest. Value was already abstract, already recorded, already socially enforced. Money did not begin as a thing, it began as a relationship. The first true tokens emerged from the natural world: cowrie shells in Africa and Asia, rye stones, massive limestone discs on the island of Yap, wampum beads in North America. These were not decorations. They were social technology, durable, recognizable, and crucially, scarce. Their supply was limited by nature or by immense human labor. Scarcity was baked in. The Heist established its first rule: the token must be hard to copy. Metal improved the system, more divisible, more concentrated in value. But it came with a problem: trust. Every transaction required scales, tests, and suspicion. Then, around 640 BC, in the kingdom of Lydia, the story changed forever. The stamped coin. King Alyattes took electrum, a natural gold-silver alloy, and stamped it with his seal. I guarantee the weight and purity. This did three revolutionary things. First, it made trade blisteringly efficient. Second, it centralized economic power in the state. Third, it turned money into propaganda. Alexander the Great's face traveled farther on coins than his armies ever could. Caesar financed civil war with stamped metal that announced his divinity. But temptation followed. When states needed more money, they debased the coinage. Less silver, more copper. Money multiplied. Trust eroded. Rome learned this the hard way. So did countless empires after it. In Song Dynasty China, metal became too heavy. The solution was radical: paper money. At first, it was a receipt for stored metal. Soon, it circulated on its own. The Mongol Yuan dynasty went further, money backed by nothing but decree. It worked, until overprinting triggered one of history's first hyperinflations. The lesson was clear: belief has limits. In Renaissance Europe, goldsmiths stored metal in vaults and issued receipts. Then they realized something dangerous. Not everyone redeems at once, so they issued more receipts than gold. They created money from trust. Fractional reserve banking was born, the ultimate financial alchemy. To control this power, the world needed an anchor. For a time, it was gold. Then came Bretton Woods. The dollar pegged to gold, the world pegged to the dollar. A brilliant system with a fatal flaw. In 1971, the gold window closed. The last tether to physical reality was cut. Money became pure fiat, backed not by metal, but by law, enforcement, and belief. Why does it still work? The network effect. You accept money because others do. They accept it because everyone else does. Trust loops reinforce themselves, until they don't. Then came Bitcoin. Not issued by a king, not enforced by a state, but verified by mathematics. A public ledger, a decentralized consensus, trust without a ruler. Whether it succeeds or fails is almost secondary. What matters is the question it asks. What if money doesn't need a storyteller? From clay tablets to code, the mechanism never changed. Money is not a thing. It is a system for moving and storing trust. The heist was never about stealing gold. It was about convincing humanity to accept symbols over substance, promises over products, belief over intrinsic value. The forms change: shell, metal, paper, code, but the foundation remains, a shared agreement, fragile, powerful, that this token matters. As we stand on the edge of digital currencies, programmable money, and AI-driven finance, we are not victims of this heist. We are its authors. And the most important question is no longer, what is money? It is, what story of value do we choose to tell next?